Right. So good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on a topic that's both intriguing and significant. Can exercise impact and improve learning outcomes? I am honored to welcome you as we embark on this enlightening journey together. To guide us in this fascinating exploration, we have the privilege of welcoming a distinguished expert in the field, Roselle Thompson. Roselle is a renowned psychologist and with extensive knowledge and expertise in the intersection of exercise and learning outcomes. With a profound passion for education and an unwavering commitment to improve learning, Roselle has dedicated her career to unraveling the potential impact of exercise and on cognitive abilities and academic achievements. In this webinar, Roselle will delve into the intricacies of the connection between exercise and learning outcomes, exploring the underlying mechanisms, the latest research findings, and practical strategies to incorporate exercise into educational settings. Her presentation promises to be enlightening, thought-provoking, and will undoubtedly provide us with a fresh perspective of how we can embrace learning outcomes for ourselves and those we educate. I encourage you all to actively engage in this workshop, ask questions, and share your thoughts. Let us embrace this opportunity to expand our horizons, challenge our preconceptions, and ultimately empower ourselves with knowledge that can revolutionize the way we educate. Once again, I extend my warmest welcome to the participants gathered here today. Together, let us embark on this exciting journey of exploring the impact of exercise on learning outcomes. Now, without further ado, let us give a resounding virtual welcome to our esteemed speaker, Roselle Thompson. Yeah, Roselle, over to you.
Thank you very, very much for this great welcome. And I extend my personal welcome to all of you as well. So today's all-important question: can exercise impact and improve learning outcomes? Well, my immediate answer to this question is absolutely yes. Okay, why? Because exercise impacts and it improves learning outcomes in any environment or levels. So what makes me so sure about this? Well, my own educational experience in managing, implementing strategies and timetables, as well as delivering education over a period of 20 plus years at all levels of education from primary, secondary to university in the UK, provides the basis for my perspective. Now, added to this are many, many years of advising and working with national educators in creating education and learning packages that address special education needs, for example, and education resource management in Commonwealth countries. I also write, having written 16 book titles, that also addresses various education needs and right across the educational spectrum. So I think perhaps the simplest and most persuasive is I practice what I preach. So let us have a look at what is in store today. I'm going to explore the idea of strategically how you education managers can create a communal exercise regime to start the school day. So my presentation will take the following format. We're going to talk about how the fact that it's not new, but how it, some of the researches that have been done on it, the testing of it, the benefits that it provides, and how you yourself can implement those in your own settings. Okay, so perhaps the barrier to fitting in exercise into our technologically dominated world is providing too much of an inconvenience, I would say, for most people to consider the benefit of exercise being good for you. Everyone says that, or that it should be as regular as eating your daily meals. Even for teachers, the daily commute, mostly being inactive, and the evening commute And then the added responsibilities at home can seem to cause barriers to that vital exercise routine. Well, exercise and how it benefits settings is not new. We should perhaps learn from tried and tested examples. The Japanese have long figured out how to combine getting great exercise results with the start. And I'm emphasizing start of work for quite some time. Workplace exercise in Japan grew out of the philosophy of something called kaizen, meaning continual improvement. Well, it was one of the approaches that lifted Japan out of the economic ruins of the Second World War and allowed them to rise to prominence in manufacturing and business industries. Well, how did they do that? They examined every aspect of work, analyzed it, and realized how things could be improved. Of course, the company owners realized that the key elements in their companies were their workers, their physical and mental well-being or emotional well-being, which impacts on productivity and profitability. Okay, and I would say that's a very good model in terms of benefits. Now, in exploring the connection of this, we can ask the question again. Does exercise impact and improve learning? And it is also the question that many learned men and women have been asking for quite some time and have gone stages further in exploring the synergy with very impressive results. Now, Professor John J. Ratey, he's an associate clinical professor of psychiatry at Harvard Medical School. Now, he's been exploring the connection between exercise and the brain. He's provided strong evidence that aerobic exercise physically remodels the brain for peak performance on all fronts. Isn't that wonderful? And it's great that we have the scientific evidence, not just talking, that sort of cliched, you must do your exercise. Well, firstly, Dr. Ratey says that it optimizes your mindset to improve alertness, attention, motivation. Okay, so these elements don't just relate to schools, okay, and students. We as adults are also beneficiaries of this, surely, isn't it? So he said memory. Now, memory has the potential to decline throughout the aging process, yes, in part due to changes in the blood flow to the brain. As we age, our large arteries and veins, they stiffen slightly, resulting in less efficient blood circulation throughout the body, including the brain. Now, one of the most effective ways of counteracting the stiffening of this vascular system and prevent the memory loss is to perform regular exercise. Okay. Secondly, Dr. Ratey says that it prepares and encourages nerve cells to bind to one another, which is on the cellular level, yeah? And it helps with the logging in of information. Well, a key factor in the learning process is really brain plasticity, or really the ability for the nervous system to change its activity in response to external or internal stimuli, okay? So third suggestion from Dr. Ratey is that it spurs the development of new nerve cells from stem cells in the hippocampus. In other words, not only does the exercise help the brain to get ready to learn, it actually makes retaining information a lot easier. Now, what is better than that? More specifically, exercise plays a crucial role in allowing you to retain new mental and physical skills. Talking about here, people. In associated learning, improvements are accomplished by changing how the brain cells communicate with each other. So we are thankful for distinguished people like Dr. Ratey, who can explore and provide us with the undisputed evidence of the benefits that it is for us. Okay, so theory must be put into practice. One school, it's a school outside of Chicago, has proved Dr. Ratey's point. The Naperville School District, they implemented an early morning exercise program called 0 hours. Well, that means very, very early, of course. And this explored whether working out before school gives students a boost in their reading ability and other subjects. Now, Naperville's philosophy is to teach children how to monitor and maintain their own health and fitness. Now, that's a good thing because, it's empowerment, isn't it? And it's learning by doing. And I always like those strategies. Okay. Not only in Naperville, but they've realized that with such great results, they rolled it out nationally and right across the country. And, there are 2 state agencies in 2014 who tested it themselves with 13,000 students over a period of 1 year. And again, the results showed students with high fitness scores also had high test scores, or results, or academic performances. And that is, for me, fantastic. And it proves that physical activity does have a positive influence on memory, concentration, behavior. And all those are vital, really essential in being able to manage with students. Those of you who are classroom managers, you will know how beneficial that is. Okay. Well, Dr. Ratey's approach also shows that exercise can be a defense against a lot of common mental health issues and struggles with students. Some students struggle with stress, and we must not minimize that. So let me just say that our students face enormous stress in the classroom and in their lives, including peer pressure. Well, that goes without saying. But then there is the work overload, some parents' threats, the constant comparisons with other students and maybe family members, expectations of high results, the fear of failure, and the high stakes testing too. We have compulsory national tests, which begins at primary level at the age of 10/11. It's called SATs. At the age of 16, we have the GCSEs, which is compulsory for, it's up to compulsory age. And again, at 18, compulsory again for those wanting to go into university. In the USA, another known stressor is the SATs. So since exercise control the emotional and physical feeling, it also works on the cellular level. Physical activity is then a natural way to prevent the negative consequences of stress, okay? Because it wards off the ill effects of stress, and in many cases, it actually reverses them. Okay, so that is a good thing. Now, what about, let's go to the other one first, anxiety and panic. It's just a reaction to a threat, worrying, even when there's no real threat, to the point that a person can't function normally. Panic then is the most intense form of anxiety. And I've witnessed my students having panic attacks before, during, and after tests, asking if they did right by doing such and such, and should they have written in paragraphs. The stress of cooperative learning situations too, where there is fear looking at in front of their peers, or sometimes just the general pressures of school. Recently, I had a student WhatsApping me about 1:30 in the morning to ask a last minute question regarding an exam she was about to do later that morning at 9 o'clock. Well, firstly, that panic disorder overwhelmed her to the point where she extended it to disturbing me in the early hours of the morning. Seemingly, obviously, attempting to transfer that emotional experience. Well, what was the result? Apart from giving her the answer to her questions, I did admonish her for her actions and then advised her to do some gentle exercises before going to bed to relieve what would have been, or what was evidently, a buildup of the levels of stress, anxiety, and the resulting panic. See? Okay. So the bottom line is through exercise, learn to alleviate stress and rebuild their confidence. In fact, Dr. Ratey points out that exercise reroutes the brain's circuits. It reduces muscle tension and teaches a different outcome to situations that provoke anxiety, setting an anxious person free really from those worrisome tendencies. So a tremendous antidote to those kinds of problems, wouldn't you say? Okay. And Dr. Ratey also discussed depression. Aerobic exercise is known to have a very positive impact on depressive symptoms. It's important, it affects the brain, it improves mood, and it promotes a feeling of well-being. So some of you may be familiar, having done exercises yourself, with that kind of euphoric feeling you get after a very high intensity strength workout or good run. It's a runner's high. Did you know that? You can get high on exercises. Anyway, this is due to a release of a feel-good chemicals in the brain, mainly endorphins. What's more, a very large study, including 611,000 adults, found a close link between physical activity and a reduced risk of developing depression. In other words, we're talking students, but we're also talking adults, because adults manage those students. And so the benefit has to be, dual, isn't it? So regular exercise can help boost your mood and may help prevent depression. The recommendation is about 30 minutes of moderate exercise a few days a week. It's supposed to do wonders for you. I can speak for that. Okay. And there is also another troubling condition, the ADHD. Some of you may not be familiar with that. ADHD, or attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. It's a fairly common mental health condition. We see that in the schools quite a lot. So students have been diagnosed as having this attention problem. And many of them, as a result, are on attention really not converter. And they either take it before school, they bring it into school, and have times when they take it. Okay. These students have a tough time paying attention and controlling impulsive behaviors. So they tend to be fairly overactive. While ADHD is mostly often diagnosed in childhood, it's known to affect a good amount of adults as well. So I'm talking about the dual benefit again. Traditionally, the treatment does include medication and behavior management strategies, which is one of the things that I did quite a lot of. Though nowadays, a more progressive approach is that you've got diet and exercise modification. Dr. Ratey says that structured exercise is one of the best treatment strategies for ADHD. These can be martial arts or whatever it is, really, any kind of exercise. In my personal experience as head of a school where the students with special education needs were catered for, I deliberately implemented activities, not only physical exercises, but also structured sessions that remove the kind of sit still, face forward and listen, to create something more fluid, a more fluid experience throughout the day. Many of them had mentors to discuss real or perceived troubles. And these obviously form barriers to learning. So my strategy was always to deal with the barrier before we force the education. So it was one of my behavioral Therefore, studies have shown that the combination of challenging both the brain and the body than just aerobic activity alone. Because to quote Dr. Ratey, and also to agree with him, the technicality of these sports, they activate areas in the brain that have such great controlling balance, controlling timing, controlling sequencing, controlling or evaluating consequences, controlling fine motor adjustment, inhibition, controlling the intense focus and concentration. And he suggests that higher fitness scores have also produced higher test scores. So we've talked about the theory, we talked about the practice. Therefore, in my view, schools would do far, far better if they incorporate more exercises into the curriculum as part of their classroom management strategy, rather than just relegating it to once a week, scheduling the weekly academic timetable. So currently many treat it as the poor cousin to the other subjects, when it should be regarded as the very rich aunt or uncle. Okay, so what do we say to summarize? That the exercise learning synergy benefits people. It is workable. I mentioned at the start that it produces higher fitness scores, higher test scores. It has a positive influence on memory, concentration, and classroom behavior. And where these exercise regimes have been implemented and incorporated in learning timetables, it has shown a remarkable work in wellness and academic performance. I think I should add also that it may prevent the delay or the onset of certain brain diseases. So although I've been talking about classroom and children, and we as managers who are older, let's talk about preventing problems relating to the brain or brain disease. So research suggests that performing regular exercises may help delay or prevent the onset of certain brain diseases. So some of you may or may not know that physical activity is associated with a decrease in age-related cognitive decline, people who are suffering with Alzheimer's and other brain diseases. So in short, performing regular physical activity has been shown to meaningfully affect brain health. Specifically, it can improve memory, improve mood, as well as potentially help prevent certain brain diseases. Now, finally, now that you are privy to this information, really would be remiss of you not to prioritize such strategies in your own settings or ensure such facilitation for yours, yourself, your students, and the whole institution that you're part of, the benefit. Okay. Before I leave you, I would pose a challenge. If we were to be back here in a year's time, how many of you will have implemented a meaningful exercise regime into your school or your class, the academic timetable, with the specific aim of measuring exercise-related performance? That's a personal challenge to you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Roselle.
You're welcome.
Anyone has any questions?
I would like to mention something. Hello, my name is.
Hi.
Hello, Roselle. Roselle,
Hello.
thank you very much for the presentation.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I was very surprised to hear Japanese Kaizen. And I tell you why. My background is business management. And in business management, we always use Japanese Kaizen. But I've never seen it in school management or in schools.
Yes.
It's quite amazing. And it's very effective.
Yes.
You know, and it doesn't cost anything. You just need to use your brain and see something. If something can be improved, you know, find out how.
That's right.
On our school, I use a little bit of Kaizen. I use it in conjunction with assessments. The assessment tells me, I have taught something. They did not understand, and then I analyze why did they not understand. And the assessment gives me a brief overview.
Yes.
Where the problem is.
Yes.
And then I'm trying to change this. So I'm quite happy you actually mentioned Kaizen.
Well, thank you. Yes, I mean, as I said, it's not new. Much of what I've said, you know, has been said in various arenas. These are workable examples. I mean, there are companies who've embraced that too. Google.
All all big companies implement Kaizen. It's
yes, in a big way. Yeah. Having said that, there are one or two schools. I think they're more, you know, the smaller environments type of schools, not the huge schools. I was actually going to show an exercise in action with, you know, a kind of whole school assembly. And I think the assembly would be a great place to do it so that everyone, teachers included, are, you know, involved in it. And really, I think that teachers should try it themselves first.
Yes,
measure their own outcomes.
Yes, maybe sometimes implemented in the international schools in the USA or Europe, but in Asia, it's not known, even it comes from Asia.
Really? Wow. No.
Yes, it's surprising. But
that's surprising. But
yes.
I mean,
Yes.
Sorry, yeah, as you said, I mean, it is a workable model. And I think we owe it to ourselves, isn't it, to you know, to educate to help the whole child. You know, you've got the academic performance, but then something else like exercise is far more structurally and lifelong benefits, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. Yeah. And at our school, I implement also. If it is mainly for our kindergarten kids, we have the problem. We have one kindergarten teacher, 20 kids. She cannot go outside alone. It's not possible because of you know, legal reasons. And if something happens, so what we usually do on a Friday, I have 10 teachers who actually go out with the children to make sure nothing happens. We either play football or we have other games, so they are physically active.
Do you have an assembly room, say? Do you have a big hall?
Oh, no, we are, most Asian schools are very poor. We do not have proper classrooms.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yes. So I mean, of course, that would be a worry, wouldn't it? The safety.
Yes.
Is a great thing here. We have so many policies on that here in the UK as well. But I think if it can't be done on a kind of like whole school basis, perhaps in a classroom, it could be a policy that teachers do that for 5 minutes. But even before that, maybe they should kind of there are ways that you can go around it. For example, doing it as a kind of activity, action for healthy kids, perhaps something like that, or let's get active, and then you work that into the curriculum. So you look at the many benefits, not just for exercise, and your aim. So it has an academic aim, but the key there would be to look at the impact of the exercise on the performance. And students could be involved in making suggestions as to how they can do it and vary it and make it exciting. And there is so much learning there, because firstly, before even that begins, students could be asked in quizzes and what have you. A lot of information can be gained from a quiz. What do you know about the human body? How does it impact? How can it improve your learning? Did you know that it makes you very happy? That kind of thing, and so there is a learning by doing strategy. I really do advocate that a lot. It works.
That's what we try to implement. We try to implement Montessori. Do you know Montessori? We try to implement Waldorf. Even we are not a Waldorf school, but I'm trying to take the best out of it and create activities.
I think there was a glitch when you say you were trying to take what? Sorry.
I'm trying to best out of Montessori and Waldorf.
Yeah.
Even we are not a Waldorf or Montessori school because we would not be able to afford it. But there are some great activities, which we can implement without spending a lot of money. Again, Asian schools are poor. It's not like in the USA or Europe.
Yeah. Certainly involved in the wider community, like having events where they are invited to participate and maybe witness that, the children and that aspect of learning, and then, sort of roll it out to parents and see how, have activities where parents can contribute.
Okay, so thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Right. So we have a few questions in the chat. The first one's by Kushbu, where she asks, so if I suffer from a panic attack, will my panic attacks reduce if I start exercising?
Sorry, what was that?
So she asks, if I suffer from panic attacks in general, will my panic attacks reduce if I start exercising?
Yes, it will. Just gentle breathing and stretching. Not going to anything, high impact, try something gentle. Give it 5 minutes, take breaks for 5 minutes, see how that, how you're reacting to the 5 minutes. Maybe you could say 15 minutes to start with, or 10 minutes. Do the first 5 minutes, see what the impact is. Does it calm? Yes. Does it make you feel better? Yes, it does. And over a period of time, you will find that, the panic attack wouldn't be the thing that you will focus on. It's, looking forward to how good it's going to make you feel. When after you've done it maybe for 2 weeks, I'd say 2 weeks, you begin to feel the difference. And it does really motivate you. Another thing you could do is, have someone have someone that perhaps you could so you're not doing it on your own. It's someone you can discuss with or talk about your achievements, what you did, and that's the fact that you have to tell someone will motivate you as you go along.
I hope that answers your question, Khushbu. We have another question from Sanchi where she asks, what can be implemented on a classroom level?
On a classroom level, okay, so as I was saying to Mr. Cooper, I would say that teachers could set a goal. Well, first of all, they set up an initiative, you know, classroom wise, and they can call it, I don't know, Action for Healthy Kids, Healthy and Ready to Learn, or Let's Get Active, something like that. Give it an aim. So you know what your aim is anyway. You're going to test the performance on the students. Maybe a fitness quiz, as I mentioned before, so that they have their own exercise to find out how much, to find out the importance of doing the exercise. They can do it by looking at our amazing body, something like that. And list the range of students, student responses, and point out that it's been involved. You know, the physical exercise help us to think more clearly. It encourages a happy mind, and, you know, explain that it's something that will be done on a weekly basis, and also empower the students, get them to be part, get them to give their own input. It works.
Right. So we have another question. Okay, so Samrat asks that, so can we conclude that the avid sports person has a higher learning capacity than an average person?
Not capacity, not so much capacity, but the potential to produce better. Okay. So because exercise has that benefit on the body, so it creates the potential to do better.
Right. Now Sahil seems to be a little concerned where he asks, does my sedentary office work hamper my learning even though I'm constantly working and learning new?
Sedentary office work, definitely you have to exercise. I lead a sedentary lifestyle as well, and to tell you the truth, Sahil, I'll tell you what I've done. I've put a note on the chair, and I put, this chair is a killer, to remind you of the, you know, the fact that it's essential that you get up from that chair, you know, or you, at some point in your day, you relieve that stress. You really have to. You know, as I said, challenge yourself with 5 minutes.
Sure. So I think Nicholas.
And you will be feel that after 5 days.
Oh, sorry.
After 5 days, you know, challenge yourself. Go another 5 minutes, make it 10, and so on. You know, you've got to. You know, it's great when you can experience things yourself before you begin to implement it with others. But I think if you just have one other person that you can motivate each other, it does work.
Great. So Nicholas here has a tip for all of us. I think teachers can allow about 5 minutes time off to allow students to do some stretching during lessons.
Yes. So Nicholas, I would suggest before, because it creates that, what Dr. Rady said, the attentiveness, the readiness, isn't it? And you know, that concentration and receptivity. But yes, I mean, if not before the classroom, they all sit down, then yes, maybe during the lesson. That might be a little bit more distracting though.
Right. Now A3 asks.
So before.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I was on to the next question. If there's something you want to speak, go on. Or is it okay if I ask?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay. Right. So A3 asks, how can I specifically apply an exercise routine to a child with ADHD in my class?
Yes. So in our environments, if we have counselors, classroom assistants, and we differentiate the timetable. So, I mean, what you would provide for the general class, the child with ADHD must have a differentiated class plan. So the plans, you have to have class plans every single day. And in that plan, you will take, you will pay attention to the fact that, you know, Johnny is likely to get up, you know, 20 minutes. So Johnny's differentiated timetable might have him doing something, you know, to help you, or to help the class, or maybe working with someone else, because it's the attention that creates, or the lack of attention that creates the disruption. So I would say definitely you have to differentiate the timetable so that he is actively taking part in the classroom management when you think there's likely to be, you know, a downturn for him.
Right. Now I'd like to ask a question myself. So on an individual level, as a teacher, how can I implement this exercise in my daily life?
I would say that you know the benefits. So you will begin a regime of your own.
Mm-hmm.
10 minutes for 1 week. And then graduated that to 15 minutes every other day for the next week onwards. You will find that how you will feel, because the evidence is in, you know, how you feel, you know, what it does for you. I mean, not just physically, but emotionally as well. You would look forward to doing more, to be more energized, and you will find that you will be a more productive you. Yeah. So if you say, for example, if you're a teacher and you know, you want to do it that way, try it yourself, what I've just suggested, and see how it works. And you learn from, you know, yourself, your own practice.
Right. Yeah. Thank you, Roselle. Thank you for the answer. Does anyone have any other questions? Anything that you'd like to ask? Or I think we'll end the question answer round then.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Thank you, everyone. And as we draw this insightful webinar to a close, I would express my deepest gratitude to firstly, Roselle herself, right? Your expertise, your passion, and your captivating presentation has provided us with a wealth of knowledge and a fresh perspective. I would also like to express my sincere appreciation to all the participants who joined us today. Your active engagement, your thought-provoking questions, and enthusiasm have made this webinar an enriching experience. Furthermore, I would like to extend a special thank you to Mr. Peter Cooper, Chairman, International Teaching Association. Your invaluable collaboration, your support, and commitment to promoting excellence in education have been instrumental in bringing this webinar to fruition. Together, let us empower ourselves and future generations with the transformating potential that lies at the intersection of exercise and education. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been great.
Yeah.
It's been great. Thank you. Wonderful experience.
Thank you, Roselle. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Mr. Cooper. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you,
Thanks
Roselle,
again.
for such an insightful
You're welcome. You're
session.
welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Roselle. It was a wonderful session.
Thank you so much, Samrat. Thank you. It was good. I enjoyed doing that, and you know, hopefully, you know, they might want more in terms of, you know, strategies on how to implement stuff, and then we can lay it out to them as well. Okay.